Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and we are in a session which I was particularly looking for because Muhammad Yunus is one of the people. I have met so many people in my life, and he's one of the most admired people I ever met in my life. And actually, we know each other since more than 25 years, a quarter of a century. And he also, I came across his fight and his engagement for social entrepreneurship when I learned about some microcredits, which he, with the Gaming Bank, had so much not only invented, but promoted. And I asked myself, why is this idea not better known and replicated much faster in the world? I mean, it's a simple idea, having great influence on millions of people. And so he animated my wife and myself to create what is the Schwab Foundation for Social Entrepreneurship, where we try to make sure that new ideas of social innovation are replicated as much as possible and as fast as possible in the world. So that's the history. But he has, Muhammad Yunus has influenced certainly the lives of millions of people. But we are talking today not to him, not in his capacity as social entrepreneur, but as the Chief Advisor to the government of Bangladesh. And it's only 5.5 months ago that we have seen the uphill. And Dr. Yunus is now confronted with the formidable task to transform a, how should we call it, dystopian country into a democracy, to bring to the country inclusion and so on. It's a deeply reformative process. But let's hear from you.
Thank you.
What is the challenge to transform a country which has lived for so many years under a kind of dictatorship, now to bring it up to the values you cherish for the future of the country?
Well, thank you very much, Klaus. While you're listening to Klaus, you realize how deep a friend he is, because as a friend, he can exaggerate about me. So his extent of exaggeration tells you how deeply our friendship goes. And I'm very happy that I met him years back. At that time, people didn't pay any attention what I do. And somehow he liked the idea. And Davos is not supposed to be my place. I thought I'm somewhere outside of the purview of the discussions that take place in Davos. But he extended his attention to me and invited me to be here, to speak in the sessions. And the idea of social entrepreneurship came. He liked the idea. He created the foundation. And Hilde was the chair. I was in the board. Excited about it, that can get attention from Davos, from the World Economic Forum. And that word became known to the world. As a result, the notion, the concept, and the actions became something that you talk about and something that you want to get involved with. And that's
got the Nobel Prize.
You got the Nobel Prize. Thank you. So that the relationship came not because any personal acquaintance with each other, that's the liking of the ideas and the actions that I'm representing. And that brings to the kind of mainstream discussion point, and people became interested in our work. While I'm still doing that, something happened in Bangladesh that I got involved with. Not that I was in any way planning or any way kind of ready for such thing, but circumstances led it that way. There's a student demonstration going on in Bangladesh in July this year. Basically, issue was a very simple issue. They are looking for job opportunities, equal opportunities for jobs, no kind of reservations for some category of people and others. That was the theme for their demonstration. But it's escalated into a situation where it's a confrontation between the government and the students became very sharp, and government started shooting at the young people. That changed the whole thing. And students took it as a challenge that they want to stand up against. They offered themselves in front of the guns, took bullets, and they will not still leave the demonstration, will not leave the street. That's when it became unstoppable. Young people leaving home in the morning, going to the demonstration, started saying goodbye to each other, that we may not come back. That's the kind of situation that emerged. They're going to the battlefield. Both of them may not come back, one of them may not come back, and each one instructing what they should do to each other, family. And when the shooting goes on, the students don't leave the street. Simply, who were shot, they fall, and the rest come forward. And it went on for several days. And then they declared that this government must go. We cannot deal with this government anymore, tolerate this government anymore. It's kind of a tidal wave of people and students coming from all directions to this Dhaka city. While these demonstrations were going on, another interesting thing happening. You have walls around the streets as you go around. Sudden spark came, the students start painting things on the walls. The whole Dhaka city filled with all the street arts all over the city, expressing their desire, their expressions, and their ambitions, and their dreams. Most interesting part of the whole thing, there was no planning. Nobody was planning anything. It's spontaneous of extreme form. There's no leadership. Usually when you have a student movement or any movement, there's a leader, there's a sub-leader, they have instructions. There are no instructions. On the day when one of them got shot, and it was all over the television, then being shot, and he's falling, and his friends holding him, the whole country changed completely. Now this time it's not only the young people coming forward, their parents started coming because they cannot stop their young people inside the home. They're going, so since they cannot stop, the parents started going with them. So it became a people's movement, joining with everybody. So hundreds of thousands of people moving into the direction of the residence of the Prime Minister. Everybody came to the conclusion it would be impossible to save her unless she has been lifted and sent someplace else. And that's what happened on 5th of August. It's a unique experience. That's why I was trying to give you a little explanation. You hear about revolutions, you hear about uprisings, rebellions. This doesn't fit into any one of them. It's a very unique way it happened. And the uniqueness comes from the way young people responded to a situation that was happening in Bangladesh. Defying the government, which could not be brought down by any means because the election didn't work. We had 3 elections in this 15 years of the regime that ruled the country. All fake elections. Nobody voted. But she got elected herself as they wish. So it's a single-person regime which commanded everything. And that's what made all the people and the students furious, and spontaneously they responded to the situation. When the prime minister fled, government fell, they don't know what to do with it. They had no plan. What do you do? So they are kind of wondering what this should be the next. Everybody said, we need a government. So how do we do the government? So they are looking forward to each other, but how to do a government? So one of the idea that I should be invited, I was not in the country at that time. I was in Paris, involved with the Paris Olympic, because under my pet subject, social business, I was designing Paris Olympic as a social business. It's called Social Olympic. So lots of ingredients of ideas that I had integrated into that Olympic. So I was very busy with that, seeing how it resulted after months of planning. I was in Paris. Somebody called me up from home, and I was watching the development in Bangladesh and feeling very strongly about what is happening. So they invited me to come and form a government. What is that?
No.
So my first response was, no, sorry, thank you. But they will not give up. And finally, I said, take time, find it, see people around. I'm sure you'll find lots of options for you. And we agreed on 24 hours, next 24 hours that they will try, but if they can't find, they will come back to me. They called me back again 24 hours later. No, we didn't find any options, so you are the one. So that's how I got involved with it. That's why I'm here. So that I thought... I thought I'll give you the background why I'm here, why I did.
So you came into government, and normally when you have a new government, there's an elaborated governmental plan. But what you are doing is mainly based on three visions, because you want to achieve a situation where you can have elections, and the three visions are zero poverty, zero unemployment, and zero net carbon emissions. How can you, there are now big expectations. What are the key success factors to make sure that the people do not turn away because they feel disappointed? How do you keep this motivation alive to form in Bangladesh a new inclusive democratic system?
Let me clarify a little bit. What you said about the 3 zeros, that's me as a person. And that's what I devoted my life, trying to encourage people to think in those terms and see the logic behind it and see action. It kind of encourages you into action to make it happen, a world of 3 zeros. Because I was always insisting the civilization that we have right now around us, that we created, we feel very proud of it. Fantastic thing that human being has done, created a civilization which transformed the world. And my way of responding to that, I said, this is a wrong civilization. It's a self-destructive civilization. This civilization will destroy us. We have no escape route from this one. So that's where I belong. That's what I try to bring in. That's where the 3-0 fits in. But when I am invited to run a government, I'm not peddling these 3 zeros into the government. I was trying to see immediately, next hour, what we have to do. Because suddenly a new government emerges. After so much killings, the law and order situation became very critical. So how to restore law and order? This is the first thing to do. It's the immediate thing to do. And next thing you do, build up the economy again. Let the economic machine run, because this whole thing stopped. And when you try to start the machine, the economic machine, you say that machine is completely destroyed. Because this is economy which is plundered away. Immediately after that, I tried to appoint a committee to prepare a white paper. So there was stock taking, what we got, what we left, to understand what we inherited from the previous government. And amazing results came later on when the final report came out. The amount of money laundered away from the country. From the banking system, the total amount they've calculated, it's about $17 billion from the banking system, just laundered away. Very simple thing, very easy way. I think this should be recorded someplace, studied how governments can do that kind of plundering, highway robbery, sitting in the government, running the machine, and still claiming to be a civilized society. The simple way they did it, under the gunpoint, you let the board of the bank resign, and government or a person like the head of the government, Hasina, she puts her own people in the board and let her friends and relatives take away as much money as they want by giving them loans. On paper, it's a loan. Actually, these loans will never expected to be paid back. So you are literally robbing the whole bank. And that's how the money has been plundered. And if you look at the whole economy, the estimate came $16 billion per year over 15 years. Per year, $16 billion has been shifted away by over-invoicing, under-invoicing, and by illegal channels take the money away. So you have an economy, as I was trying to describe, it's like suddenly you have a tornado, everything goes berserk, and you start wondering how do you start all over again. So the economy that we inherited was a kind of after the tornado of the economy. How do you start that? So that became our immediate thing, to how to put order in the economy. Our economy, first mainstay is our garment industry, the ready-made garment. USA is the main buyer. Whole Europe buys, but our number one buyer is USA. So we want to make sure industry keep functioning. So how do you do that in a situation? So our aim is to make sure that our exports, our businesses started taking place and so on. So how to restore the banking system, how to restore foreign exchange, how to restore the reserves, all these issues immediately engulfed into that. And luckily for us, in all things happening, tremendous amount of support from the people because of the terrible things that they experienced before. Many people disappeared, just not that shot the people, young people on the street. Throughout the 15 or 16 years of their rule, millions of people were put in jail. And I was one of them, waiting to be in jail. While I was in Paris, my friends and my family from Bangladesh saying, don't come back, this situation is bad. As soon as you come, you'll be in jail. So stay there. So that's the instruction I'm getting. While I'm coming here, I was appearing in courts. I have 190 cases against me. You can hardly move in it because some cases I have to appear in some courts. So this is a thing for me. And similar to me, millions of people were in jail on unspecified allegations against them, particularly if you belong to any political party which is against the regime, you have no escape route. So that's a kind of environment. You have to free those people who are in jail, how to do that, because there are cases, judicial system has to work. So those became our first priority to make that happen. Our main support is support coming from all directions from within the country And we saw enormous amount of support internationally. Everywhere we went, there's an outpour of support for the people of Bangladesh and the uprising of the students, how to rebuild. The students were saying, we will have to build a new Bangladesh. They don't have to see anything connected with the old Bangladesh. So that's a big task for us. How do you define that new Bangladesh? How do you start that new Bangladesh? And we are committed to create that new Bangladesh. So case by case, you have to restore discipline of the government and the restoration of the bureaucracy, which was serving the previous government. So suddenly they are asked to do something different, which they never had experience of following the rules and procedures. They get an order, they carry it out. That's all they know. An order comes from one single source. So this has become our main issue right now, at that time.
And if I understand, the way you are doing it is you have created commissions.
Yes.
I think quite a number of those. And those commissions, I think it's important to highlight, are composed as much as possible in a multi-stakeholder way, so that the whole population is integrated in designing the new Bangladesh. Could you tell us a little bit more about those commissions and how it functions?
The demands from the movement came that we don't want to go back to the old Bangladesh, so we have to build a new Bangladesh. So how do you do that? Where do you begin? Everything collapsed. So one first decision we took on every single item will create a commission, reform commission. So you have a reform commission for constitution. They say we don't need that old constitution. We build a new constitution. So how do you start? Where do you start to build a new constitution? So we had the reform of the constitution. Then you have the election procedure. You have election without vote. We don't want to go back to that kind of tradition of election having no votes, nobody to vote. With the 16 years of time that the old regime was running the country, we had 3 elections, no vote. And then young people are coming at the voting age. For the first time, they become voters. Every year, they're becoming voters. All these young people who became voters over these 16 years didn't have a chance to vote for the first time in their life. Older generation, probably in some past years, they have voted. But this, very unfortunate for this young generation, which is a very different young generation. Young generation is very integrated, very connected with the whole world. Had no experience of that. So we want to undo that, how to create a mechanism so that everybody can vote freely, fairly, so that no interruptions, no threat to anybody to cast their vote freely. So that was a commission. Judiciary became a weapon in the hands of the government. They punish you, they hang you, not only punish you, they hang you. And many people were hanged during that period in the name of the justice. It's a fake justice. It was decided she should be hanged. She was hanged. Many people disappeared. Thousands of people disappeared. People don't know where they are. When the uprising came, we're looking forward to see where they went. Some we found in a little space, lived for 7 years, 8 years, 10 years. No, they don't know whether it's a day or night. It's a dark room. They're fed. They just touch the food. That's about they know. So wondering, what is the world look like now? So now we have a commission, the Disappearance Commission, to find out. We have cases of 3,000 such disappeared people. We have so far traced about 1,700 where they are. Many still could not be traced. What happened to them? So there are 15 such judiciary and administrations and so on. So 15 commissions to recommend us how to start. The commission reports are coming now that time has come. What we intend to do all these commission reports to put together and start talking to the public and also the political parties. Which are the things that you accept to be implemented? Because this is a recommendation. Unless you accept, it cannot be implemented. So we now have a consensus commission to build a consensus around each piece of our work. Then on the basis of agreement of all parties, all civil society organizations, where they all agree on certain things, we'll prepare what we call July Charter. July is the month when Uprising took place. It's a July Charter that we agreed on this. So on that basis of July Charter, we start taking action, including the election. What kind of election? Because unless we know what kind of election people want, we can't go into election. So we are waiting to hold the election. Now that the election report is coming up. We have targeted end of this year, the election to take place, if we go in a short reform agenda, quick reform agenda. If people say, no, we need a longer list of agenda reform, then we need another 6 months. So now people have to decide in the process whether they will go to the short agenda or the long agenda. Long agenda will need middle of 2026, next year. Short agenda will have it at the end of this year, 2025. That's the election procedure. That's what we're looking for.
It's we should also keep in mind the size of your country. I mean, to seize the enormous task, I think 170 million?
171 million people.
Yeah.
We're the 8th largest country in the world, population-wise.
Yeah.
So it's quite a sizable number. Most distinguishing feature is it is a country, most densely populated country in the world.
Yeah.
You cannot go anywhere without touching anybody else.
Yeah.
As simple as that.
And you have this large population where you have to eradicate poverty, provide the educational systems and so on. And at the same time, I think you are one of the countries most exposed to environmental changes and degradation. Yeah. With flooding and long term, I mean, we have the year of the glacier this year, and nobody expects glaciers in Bangladesh, but you depend to a certain extent on the glaciers in the Himalaya. We unfortunately come to the end of this session, and I have to say we all have to be not only full of admiration, but full of support, because that's what you need. But my last question would be, if you take all those conclusions from your experience, from your life experience, what would be your advice to the world? I mean, what is, if you want to, what I said in my opening speech, if we want to base our future on a constructive optimism, what keeps you optimistic?
Optimism is about the new generation, young people. Every time I meet the young generation, I get mesmerized by seeing the possibility of these young people. I wonder whether I was at the age of 20 or 21, whether I'll be demonstrating on the street and take bullets and say goodbye to each other and do that. Whether I'll have that ability to do that or sustain that kind of thing. And when the collapsing of the government finally happened, whether I'll say, let's form a government. These are the young people who took that decisions. And there's no central planning. They don't know each other. They just came from different institutions on the street. You don't know who the next person is. So that's the kind of power of this young generation. The way I try to express it by saying, it's a global statement I make. This is the most powerful generation in human history. That's the way I look at them. That's the way I feel. It gives me goosebumps looking at the power that the young generation has. Question is, will they be able to use this power? If they're not able to use this power, will there be an explosion? Shouldn't we learn something from Bangladesh? When these young generations say, enough is enough, nobody could stop them. Army said sorry. The army was asked to fire them. Army said sorry. These are our children. We can't fire. So they tried every single way. But students didn't move. They continued. It doesn't matter whether you fire, you kill. It's totally irrelevant. One police officer was heard in the television saying, I kill one and 10 come up. What do I do? Should I kill them all? And then others will come up. That's the situation. So I go back to that, the young generation of this age and time. They have the power comes to them not because they are super intelligent. They are the same kind of kids that we used to be. Power comes from the technology. That technology changed them. They are not Bangladeshi young people anymore. They are global young people. So that global young people, when they get connected on an issue, I don't think anybody can stop them. That's their power. We keep on ignoring them just like we did to other kids. It's not that. I was suggesting our voting age is 18. I said it should be 16. They're so mature. What makes it 18? Difference between 16 and 18. Who tells you that 16 doesn't understand as much as 18 does? So where do you mature and see things in your own way? So this is a challenge to the world. Are you allowing your young people to move up? And I keep telling, don't look at your old generation. We made many mistakes. If you follow us, you'll get into the same trap. Don't follow us. You have enough understanding and choices to make your own decisions. Make your decisions. So Bangladesh is just a spark coming to that. So Bangladesh should be studied. You know what, which bothers me? All these things happening, we're reading in the newspaper, we talk a little bit, stop there. We're not studying what happened in Bangladesh. Universities should be rushing there. What happened to the most powerful government of 16 years? On the stand for a few minutes when these young people just got together. They didn't have a political philosophy. You'll be asking, are they leftist? Are they Islamist? Are they terrorist? It doesn't come into any category. You don't have a category for them. You see everybody there. All the citizens, all the young people of Bangladesh got together, irrespective of their age. A 12-year-old young person writing a letter, which mother was crying and reading to the public after all this happened. I never get him back, she was saying. She wrote me this letter, Mom, you always protected me so that I don't go and join the protest march. And I was sitting at home and raging, very angry that I cannot go. Today, I'm going. I'm saying goodbye to you. I don't know whether I'll come back. If I don't come back, please forgive me. My friends are there. They are brave friends. I'm a brave person too. He went out. His dead body came back in the evening. That's what made this movement. It's not just a demonstration or another thing. It's a complete qualitative change that is taking place inside our society, everywhere. Simply somewhere is still lying low. Somewhere in Bangladesh suddenly found an opening, expressed itself. So that explosion will come. We can't stop it. So we have to understand this young generation and prepare that. And that's where in the past I've been saying that our education system is wrong, treating these young people as if they don't understand anything. They're smarter than any other generation because of the technology they have. They know what you'll be teaching them today. There's nothing surprising for them. So this young generation, they can expand their views and create their own world. And I said, education system is wrong because they're preparing them to take a job. I said, job-oriented education is finished. Job to them is nothing. I said, this generation is a generation of entrepreneurs. They create their own world. They run. Even a housewife in Bangladesh didn't have much education. Now run businesses out of her home. She doesn't have much education, but her food is so good. So what she does, take orders from people. Chooses which one order she take to prepare food for her friends or friends of other families and deliver it and make money. She has 4 children of her own. That's it. It's just a family. Go to remote village, somebody is selling saris on the Facebook. She doesn't know that this kind of business that somebody is doing. She's just figured out she can sell these few saris and then expand. So these are the talent of these young people. Job doesn't fit them, but we are imposing it on them. So these are the mismatches that I keep bringing, and Bangladesh gives a very powerful case to show how it can be done, what to be done. So that should be studied and seen. What is happening, what is waiting for us. That's the most important thing for all of us to learn from experience that we have gone through. Thank you.
Sir, Paulson.
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't have to make a conclusion. I think it was an exceptional half an hour with a visionary man and an exceptional man and an exceptional vision and mission. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You've done a great job. Thank you. Thank you.